The world is a wall. For Cale, this is the only truth that matters. The sun bakes the sandstone to his right, turning it the color of dried blood, while the sheer drop to his left falls into a cool, blue-black abyss of shadow. Below, the river is a silent, silver thread, a place he has not touched in many seasons. His people, the Sky-Edge clan, are specks of movement on their woven platforms, their lives tethered to this vertical plane. His life is tethered to the grip of his fingers, the bite of his toes into a crack no wider than a knuckle. The wind, the canyon's true master, whispers past his ear, threatening to pluck him from the rock like a stubborn scab. This is the brutal reality of prehistoric life millions of years ago, a constant negotiation with gravity and hunger. His tools are the bones of the fallen. This is the way of things. His primary climbing axe is the sharpened dolma of a dionysus, its natural curve a perfect hook. His ropes are braided sinew, tough and unyielding, anchored to pitons of sharpened horn driven deep into the rock by his elders. It is an entire system of osteoid, ontocratic technology born not of invention, but of desperation. Each piece of gear is a ghost, a story of a hunt, a scavenge, a victory that allows him to be here now, clinging to the world's edge. He moves with a rhythm passed down through generations of climbers, a slow, deliberate dance against the stone. Look, wedge, pull, test, shift, breathe. Never look down for too long. Never look up for too long. A clatter of small stones from above makes him freeze, pressing his body flush against the warm rock. He glances up. A flock of Aztecopterus, their heads crowned with flimsy crests, chatter and squabble on a nearby ledge. They are carrion eaters, noisy and insignificant, but they are also heralds. Where they flock, the greater gods of the sky are never far. Cale ignores them, focusing on the next sequence of handhold. His goal is a white stain on the cliff face 1,000 feet above the canyon floor, the nest. There, in a cradle of petrified branches and sun-bleached bones, lie the prizes, eggs the size of a man's torso, rich with the yolk that will feed his clan for a month. Suddenly, the sunlight wavers. A shadow, immense and sharp-edged, blots out the sky. It flows over the rock, a moving eclipse that swallows Cale whole. It is not the gentle passing of a cloud, it has the shape of a spearhead, flanked by vast, leathery wings. He does not need to look up to know. One of the great Quetzalcoatlus is circling, its wings making a sound like distant thunder, a slow, rhythmic tearing of the air. This is the primal fear that underpins all others to be seen. A human fossil pressed into the ancient stone, praying the giant continues its patrol. This ritual, this climb, is the ultimate test of the survival skills that define his people, a testament to a strange branch of hominid history written not in caves, but on the sheer, unforgiving face of a cliff. The shadow passes. For now, hours turn into a lifetime of small movements. His muscles burn with the lactic fire of endurance, but the air changes. It grows thick with the musky, reptilian odor of the nest, a scent of stale fish and something acrid, like old lightning. He hauls himself over the final ledge wider than any other, a sprawling platform of ancient stone and accumulated debris. The nest is a chaotic fortress of petrified wood and the enormous skeletons of river prey, woven into a bowl that could hold his entire family. Inside, 3 eggs lie like pale, sleeping gods. They are mottled grey and brown, their shells thick and leathery. His heart hammers against his ribs, a frantic drum against the vast windy silence. He has made it. This is the moment that defines the life of every hunter and his clan. He uncoils a length of sinew rope, a net woven at its end. The choice is a practical one, the egg closest to the edge, the one that requires the least time exposed on this terrifying altar. He works quickly, his hands sure despite their trembling. The future of his people, the continuation of their fragile line of human ancestors, depends on this single gargantuan prize. He slips the net around the egg, pulling the drawstrings tight, the woven harness cinching around its ball. He secures it to his own back, a grotesque, heavy burden that shifts his center of gravity, making the familiar cliff face suddenly alien and treacherous. The weight is immense, a promise of life that threatens his own with every movement. For a moment, a sliver of triumph cuts through the fear. He has done what he was born to do. The screech shatters the air. It is not the distant tear of sound from before, but a piercing, explosive lance of fury that vibrates through the rock and into his bones. Kale flattens himself as the male Quetzalcoatlus descends, its landing a controlled crash of leathery wings and clawed feet. It is a creature of impossible scale, a walking spear with wings. Its head, longer than Kale is tall, pivots on a neck of terrifying length, and its eye, a black, polished stone, fixes on him. There is no animal dumbness in that gaze, only a cold, reptilian intelligence that understands intrusion. Its carotid beak, a weapon of polished bone the color of old ivory, silex shut with a sound like splitting rock. This is no mere dinosaur. It is the absolute sovereign of this vertical kingdom. There is no escape. The ledge is a dead end, the sky is owned by the monster, and the cliff is a death sentence with the egg on his back. The great pterosaur takes a step, then another, its movements bird-like and unwingworm precise. Kale raises his bone axe, a child's toy against a god. The creature hisses, a low, guttural sound from its throat, and lunges. It does not bite, it stabs. The beak is a rapier, and Kale throws himself sideways, the tip grazing his shoulder, tearing through hide and flesh. Hot, searing pain blinds him for a second. He scrambles back, his heel skidding on loose scree near the edge. The wind howls below. The beast prepares for another strike. This is the emotional turning point, the stark reality where the mythology of the hunt meets the bloody business of survival. The stories told around the fire did not prepare him for the sheer, murderous speed of the sky devil's lance. The beak strikes, a flash of polished bone. Kale doesn't dodge back, he throws himself sideways towards the abyss. For one breathtaking second, there is no up or down, only the roaring wind and the impossible weight of the egg pulling him into nothingness. This is the ultimate hard choice, an act of altruism born of absolute desperation. He is falling, but his fall has a purpose. His hand, slick with his own blood, grips the coiled sinew rope. His foresight had marked a spur of petrified wood jutting from the cliff face 50 feet below the nest, an all-black thumb of a branch that had been there for 1,000 seasons. This is his anchor. This is his prayer. He throws the rope. It uncoils in the wind, a desperate, flying serpent. The loop catches the spur. A heartbeat later, the slack runs out. The jolt is world-shattering. It rips through his wounded shoulder, and a scream is torn from his throat, swallowed by the canyon. His body is whipped in a violent pendulum arc, slamming him back against the cliff face with the force of a charging ball. The impact drives the air from his lungs. Stars explode behind his eyes. Cracks against the rock, but the thick, leathery shell holds. He dangles, spinning slowly, the world a blur of red pine and greystone. Above, the Quetzalcoatlus shrieks in baffled rage, its immense form too large to risk a dive so close to the jagged wall. It can only circle in the wider air, a frustrated god denied its sacrifice. The rest of the descent is a fugue state, a journey through a private hell. He moves on instinct alone, his primitive technology now just a burden. Pain is a constant companion, a hot coal embedded in his flesh. He half slides, half climbs down, using the rope in short, controlled drops from one outcrop to the next. The shadow of the great pterosaur is his constant companion, a promise of death that never leaves. Every time he crosses an open face of rock, he feels the cold stare of that reptilian eye. He is hunted. He is hunted. He is prey. But he is still moving. This is the brutal narrative of hominid history, a story not of kings and empires, but of bleeding knuckles, searing pain, and the stubborn refusal to die. When his feet finally touch the woven platforms of his home, he does not stand, but collapses, the great egg rolling from his back into the waiting hands of his kin. He has brought home the future, sealed within a shell of stone, paid for with blood and wind. Kale's act is not celebrated with triumph, but absorbed into the clan's existence with a quiet reverence of survival. The egg is life. His wounds are the price. The memory of the fall, of the lance from the sky whispered to the next generation of climbers. This is how a culture is forged, not in moments of peace, but in the crucible of impossible choices against the last of the world's great dinosaurs. From this high, precarious perch, we see the blueprint of our own ascent. The archaeology of courage is not found in fossilized bone, but in the ghost of a decision like this, to leap into the void, trusting in foresight and a rope or sinew. It is the genesis of the audacity that would one day lead a fragile species of early humans, armed with little more than sharp stones and sharper minds, to challenge the masters of the prehistoric world. This desperate gamble against a titan is the first verse in the epic of Homo sapiens, a testament to our species' profound and perhaps insane refusal to accept its place. For what is the story of humanity, if not the chronicle of a creature born to the ground, that dared to steal fire from the sun and futures from the sky? But on the plains of ash, a new cold is gathering.